Hey, this is David McElroy for First Fusion Capital. I got a very dear friend of mine and professional real estate investor. You've done thousands of deals, many, many different ways over the past decades. And I know there's lots of frustrated first-time home buyers that have gone the last 3, 4 years, and they've been outbid every time. They put in 20 contracts and they just gave up. Since you're an investor, of course, you have to buy differently than the first-time home buyer, but there's still some strategies that apply to both. What would you recommend to them, Dan? I mean, we've got rates at 7%, so there's fewer buyers. So
Yeah.
maybe now they got a chance if they have the right philosophy, the right strategy. What would you recommend?
Well, as an investor, when rates were say 3%, we were able to buy houses, 80 cents on the dollar after repairs. So in other words, $100,000 house, let's say it need 10,000 in repair, we're coming in, we're offering $70,000 on that property. Now that the rates are more than double, right? 7%, then our buying criteria has lowered, and so we're now looking to purchase properties at 70 cents on the dollar after repair. So if you are just a traditional home buyer, then the strategy that I would recommend and that we do use also in the investing world is instruct your agent to look for properties that are, say, outdated. So they don't have updates. So the bones are good. So you've got, good roof, good HVAC, good foundation. Those, the five majors, those are good, but it just needs cosmetic updating. It needs paint, maybe some new countertops, maybe the bathroom needs to be remodeled. Buy that house. I think you make a bid on that property, either at asking price or maybe even a little less, and then move into the property and then fix it with one room at a time. So start with the bathroom, start with and then do a kitchen next, and then do the other bathroom. Painting can be, you can DIY your own painting. You and your significant other can have a paint date, if you will, and do that. One of the things I would suggest is there's a lot of properties on the market that for whatever reason don't sell, and so the listing agreement, in other words, the agreement that they have with the agent to sell the property expires, and so those are called expired listings. I would recommend that your agent look through expired listings, see what hasn't sold. Have your agent call up the other agent, find out, hey, what's the story there? Why does the seller need to sell? What's their situation? How can we potentially come in and work a deal? Even though the house is now off the market, I think that the seller would be a whole lot more open to, an alternative offer, maybe a lower than asking offer, because they've already gone through plan A. They've already listed with their agent. They've already asked for market value, or, whatever the price is. It didn't sell. And so now they're like, well, what now? What do we do now? And so those sellers, I feel like, would be a little bit more soft to a reasonable offer from, a first-time homebuyer.
And have you find that if we divide sellers into two broad categories, there's those that were willing to sell if they could get a price no one will pay. So that's
Yeah.
not going to work. But there's a large group in there that have a need to sell. They still need to sell. And maybe they're puzzled why their house didn't sell. But if they need to sell, now maybe there's a deal to be had, depending how much they need in cash to move, what they owe, all those things. But that's just part of the fishing expedition.
Sure. I mean, in this market, you just have to get creative, David. I mean, in the 3% market, you know, um, one strategy works for that market. Now we're at 7%, and so you have to shift your strategies. I think the agent is very important. Buyers agents like to look at properties that are in the market, make a traditional offer, make a traditional sale. But in this marketplace, you need to get an agent that's thinks a little bit outside of the box, in that they're contacting expired listings. Some of these listings could be withdrawn. Some of the listings could be canceled. I mean, those are three different categories in the MLS of properties that have been listed for a retail sale and for one reason or another didn't sell. And so, getting that agent that will, go above and beyond and get a little bit creative and out of the box, to find that seller that, needs to sell, is a little bit more flexible, perhaps in terms, a little more flexible, perhaps in price, then those are the sellers that I feel like that you can do a deal with, and you're going to beat out someone like myself because you don't have to buy this deep. I mean, if a first-time home buyer is going in and they're actually going to move into the property, then they've got me beat because they can outbid me, because I need to buy it deeper because I'm going to, fix it up and resell it. perhaps fix it up and rent it, but I need to get it at a certain number based on today's rates for that acquisition to make sense for me and my firm.
And here's what you already know, Dan. Houses that are perfect, priced right, move-in condition,
Yeah.
the first-time home buyer has a very difficult, it'd have to be like winning a lottery to get that house. So if you're out competing with the best of the best, like trying to buy clothes at the Gucci store the day it comes in, there's no discount there. And the seller,
Right.
even if they might discount, if it doesn't sell, they don't believe it yet. They still think they're going to get whatever price they're asking.
Oh, sure. You know, my experience in the retail marketplace is that first time home buyers typically are looking for that Gucci outfit, right? They want to buy the house, they want to move into it, they want to be comfortable and happy. You know, they don't want to DIY, they don't want to, make repairs, but we're in a different market. So in a different market, you have to change your strategy. You have to change what you're willing to do. I think there's still great deals out there, even for first time home buyers, but the strategy has to change. What worked at 3% interest rates, it's not going to work at 7 and 8% interest rates. You got to get outside of the box. You got to find that agent, that can be a little bit creative, doesn't mind picking up the phone, calling some other agents, even if the listing is withdrawn or canceled or expired, to find out what the story is, the situation, and see how that agent's first time home buyer can mesh, with the seller's needs and what they're looking for.
So you need to find a partner that's willing to do the work to find you a deal. They're not just laying there in front of you, buy this one, it's discounted, it's still not in that bad a condition. It's not going to say that,
Sure.
right? You need to
100%.
I did one earlier about going on Zillow. Now, Zillow, of course, isn't everything, but for someone that's not yet with an agent, isn't ready to take that step, but knows what they're qualified to buy, they can go on Zillow, they can pick their neighborhood, they can pick their price range they know that they've been qualified for. And then in the more section, they can do a drop down and put properties that have been 90 days, 120 days on the market, and then look at the pictures and then see if the pictures, which maybe look nicer than the house does, but you got to start somewhere, right? And then look down at
Sure.
this estimate. Now, estimates are not necessarily accurate. There's a range of error that can be there, but it gives you something. So you look at their
Sure.
price, and you might also see price has been dropped 10,000, 20,000. So you're seeing they're finally starting to grasp reality. And then you can look at this estimate to see how it might line up is not the end all, but an indicator of something to take into consideration. Because I think I did one in Plano today, which is still a very robust market, less than a 1.25 month supply. So a balanced market would be 6. So obviously they're still selling very fast up there. However, in Plano, I found stuff listed past 90 days and I started noticing price dropped 10,000, price dropped 20,000. So they'll soften up once they accept they can't get the price if they still need to sell. Any last words you'd like to share with the audience, Dan?
Yeah, no, I think you hit on a good point. We talked about the withdrawn, the canceled, the expired listings. Price drops I mean, that's a great point. Price drop indicates some softness in the seller's expectation of price. And furthermore, if the property has great bones, from foundation, HVAC, electric, plumbing, and roof, then the cosmetics are fairly inexpensive. They're not that expensive to purchase and install. So I think those are some great ideas that we've come up with to help first time home buyers in a 7% interest rate market.
They can also get a home warranty. Not that those are perfect, but if the air conditioning blew out, well, then maybe you have a small deductible. They negotiate something to make it really affordable for you to put it in instead of getting banged with a $6,000 bill after you move in because the air conditioning blew out or the furnace or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a good home inspector comes in. Get the home inspected, make sure that those 5 bones are, the 5 majors: roof, HVAC, plumbing, foundation, and electric are good. And if they are, then just consider, hey, what would it take to, uh, cosmetically adjust the property to your taste, the first time home buyer's taste. And then, you don't have to do the whole project at one time. As a matter of fact, I rehabbed my house and I'm still living in it. And my wife was very upset with me. So I will not do that again. So my recommendation is, start with just one room, knock it out, get paid again, say the next month from your job, go do the second room, so on and so forth. Until you have the house the way that you want, you got into a great property. It's got great bones. Now it's the way that you want it cosmetically. And then, your options are open. Stay there, you rent it out, you can resell it, whatever it is that you're looking to do.
And equally as important, while you're doing this, there is still inflation. There is still
Sure.
inflation. And those of you that have been buying groceries or looking at your rent or looking at your insurance, you're noticing all those things have gone way beyond 5 or 6 or 7% per year over the last several years. So while you're working on your house, the dollar is going down in its purchasing power, a little better here in the US than the rest of the world, right? But you're building value in price in your home while you're doing work. So why not
Right.
earn while you labor and then stay there, or as Dan said, lease it out and buy another?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a term for what we're talking about. It's called house hacking. I mean, you move into a house, you fix it, you sell it, take the profits from that, and go buy another one. I mean, if the first time home buyer is interested in not only buying their first home, but perhaps getting into investing, that's a great way to get started.
Hey, Dan, if somebody sees this and they'd like to look at investing, I know you do coaching on the housing side. How could they get a
Yeah,
hold of you if they want to join you in one of your ventures, take a course from you, bring you
sure.
deals and share in profits? How would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to sub2freedom.com. Again, that's sub2freedom.com. And all the information about my courses and who I am and I guess my past track record, etc., are on there. Would love to work with you. Would love to have a conversation about where you are in your investment career, or if you're thinking about getting into investment, building a plan of how we can create income and wealth that meet your personal goals.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Dan. We did a show you might look for on my Human Potential channel with Dan, where we talked about life philosophy and his business. Well worth knowing. I've done deals with him. I know lots of people that wouldn't have sold their home or been able to buy a home without him. So he knows some very innovative things. For First Fusion Capital, I thank you so much for your time today. And Dan, as always a pleasure to talk with you.